Hello, beautiful beings. Happy Wednesday, if you're watching this on Wednesday. And, ooh, it has been such a lovely summer solstice, yet the intensity of the light is definitely breaking through all of the constructs created by the ego and the shadow mind, the shadow of the mind. And we are approaching the fullness of this Capricorn full moon. I'm already feeling it. Everything just feels quite amplified. There's other astrological things going on as well. I know that Saturn had gone retrograde earlier this month. Neptune goes retrograde this Friday. Venus goes retrograde next week. So there's a good bit of like a slowing down that's happening. And there seems to be a great deal of a focal point around relationships, which may be coming from the influence of Venus. But also we're entering into Cancer season, and Cancer it's the nurturer, it's the mother, it's the home body. So with this full moon being in Capricorn, there still feels like there's some energy around home, around like organization of the home structure, of stability, maybe even finances a little bit there. But what we're going to do is just allow transmissions for what's in the highest good to facilitate a deeper understanding of the energies with the full moon. So just asking for the Most High, the holy living light, to offer these transmissions of truth, of clarity and wisdom and healing, to guide us through the energy of this full moon in Capricorn, enlightening us to the ways that we may be of greater service to ourselves and to humanity, and how we can use the energy of this time to be liberated and to come into alignment. And with full faith, thanks. And so be it. All right. So I've got several decks out here today. And I'm going to draw from our Earth Warrior deck first to feel into more of what it is that's emerging in the collective with this full moon, and then how it may be governing us individually to promote change. Padma Sundari, out of the darkness born the light. So this to me says that there's still some influence from the full moon, from the solstice, from the light of the sun. It's such a beautiful card. So like what I was speaking to about how the contrast of the brightness of the sun, of the solar self, has emphasized the shadowy places, has emphasized the unseen. Let's read a little bit about Padma Sundari. So out of the darkness, the light is born. The light is powerful enough to survive exposure to the darker side of humanity and remain pure, empowered, and effective. Trust in your spiritual purpose as a light in this world. Trust particularly in your ability to bring purity, order, grace, and light to disorder, chaos, and destruction. The divine is ever by your side and ever within your heart, assisting you with this higher purpose in all ways. So collectively, I have witnessed since the eclipse a lot of very, very deep, dark secrets that are coming to light. There are documentaries that are coming out exposing everything from, trigger warning, but this is very real, and it's something that even if it triggers you, it's important that we stay present to understand that it's being presented to us for a reason. It is a shadow. So there are documentaries coming out that are referencing and helping to expose the corruption, both politically, worldwide, in the big ag, all of these huge industrial complexes, the military industrial complex, the financial world, in big pharma, big ag, even in big education, and even down into the really dark side of Hollywood. There's a lot of exposure. That's my point, is that many of these collective shadows are starting to be brought forth. There are some very courageous and bold people who live within integrity and will not allow for what has been censored for much too long to start to come to light. And so if we look at that, we can start to bring that macrocosm into the microcosm. What in your own world, in your relations, within the relationship with yourself, how has it been adjusting in the last month to month and a half? How has your relationship with the people close to you been adjusting? When we begin to look at that, to me, it just feels like such a foundational change, like seeing core wounds and starting to address those core wounds. That is what I am witnessing through my own personal lens, and as I'm watching and scanning the people around me. And then as I'm reading this as well from the collective. So this feels so good. It feels so good for a lot of the work that we've put in. I'm getting like the last 11 years, something about in the last 11 years, almost like it's the culmination of some kind of inner work that we've been doing. Let me just scan through this to see if there's any other messages in here. So one of the things that stands out to me is it talks about resourcefulness and how we are destined to be a part of the creative solution, and to ask for help from our higher self, from the higher angelics, from the beings that are beyond this slower reality, that are here to preserve the innocence of mankind and to restore the light and the heart of every human. It says, never give up your hope and trust in what is possible, nor your willingness to act upon that hope and trust. So this says that when this oracle appears, that the Divine Mother will assist you with your purpose so that you succeed. But you must take action and trust that sometimes it is through challenges that we become most ready to receive grace. Allow the light of Spirit into your soul so you never again feel that you are doing anything on your own. Regularly remind yourself that you have a divine sponsor, guide, coach, partner, and friend with you always. That friend has unlimited resources and the most potent will of all. Then notice how your confidence to take action increases when you build that belief system within you. How much more secure, courageous, and willing you become. Part of your spiritual path requires that you walk your talk and live in a way that shows optimism and practicality. Whew. And the summer is the activity. That is like the active cycle of the year where it's external, where it's like we do a lot of this shadow work in the fall and in the winter when we go internal, and in the spring when we're reborn, when we're, just starting to find the new way of our being through our form, that sometimes it really doesn't take its fullness until the harvest, until the summertime. So it may be that you've been working on this thing, and finally it's like, oh, okay, like now I'm starting to understand the way of practicality, the way of application, the integration of knowledge to wisdom. Singing and dancing is one of our guidances for, I'm hearing, preserving the awakening. So like there is a momentum that is serving us in this awakening process. To stay in that elevated space, you need to engage in the things that keep you at that higher vibration, the higher waves of consciousness. Singing and dancing, expressing yourself, and awaken your psychic senses through the magical power of music and movement. So much we get stuck up here where we're really just focused on the intellect and trying to figure things out in the brain rather than being within the axis of the heart, mind, body, spirit. And without that, it's incomplete. There is misalignment when not all parts, all dimensions are included. And this is where the separation between knowledge and wisdom happens, is knowledge remains up here. Wisdom happens when we access something higher and something deeper. And then we bring it all the way into the earth so it's grounded through the form, and you know how to express it through the form you've been given. So singing and dancing in any way you can, like, I would even expand that out to things like yoga, to breath work, to just inspired movement and sound. So if you don't sing, listen to music. Listen to music that makes you feel light, that makes your heart happy, that helps for you to feel your heart. But if you can, move your body. Actually, okay, no. What I'm getting is move your body. Not if you can. Let's just throw that out. Just move your body. Whatever you do, bring song, dance, music, and movement into your life as regularly as you can to just keep moving this momentum of light, of lighting through you, around you, as you. And we pull the empathy card alongside that. Let's just keep going. I mean, what do we become without empathy in our process? We get cold, we get stagnant, we close down, we close off. And in this Mayan deck, I pulled the rabbit. I feel like I pulled this in the last reading too. And the rabbit to me always represents abundance and procreation. This says that when the rabbit comes to you, it's a sign to take off your mask and be your authentic self. If something or someone is trying to dim your light, you need to do something to allow your true light to shine brightly. Well, to me, this all flows together. With singing and dancing, there's a good bit of inhibition around just expression in general. It's so vulnerable for someone to watch you as you sing or dance, or to be looking directly at you as you are sharing something about yourself. So as you are speaking your truth, as you are showing your emotions, and we create multiple personas to hide that, when really the light is what's coming through in those moments where we're vulnerable. That is the light coming through and illuminating shadowy aspects. And it requires a great deal of empathy for ourselves. But also, if we're wanting to experience that, if our experience has been that we've been judged harshly, then we need to also find the empathy when it's presented from the outside. When we are seeing other people and we start judging them, can you step back and just see what happens if you possess the willingness to understand and empathize with them, and just taking your judgments aside. And it's a difficult thing to do. The first thing is you have to just be aware that you're judging someone. And okay, I'm just checking in. There's an alchemy that is occurring for those who are willing to accept these opportunities of conflict as their blessings to recover their light. That are accepting the confrontation and the triggers are the opportunities to liberate from the shadow within them. The awareness, the invitation to this is arriving at a time where you are more capable of doing this more easily. And this does require, let's see, what does it require? This does require intention. So this does require intention, meaning that you have to really want it. That's really what it comes down to. You have to truly want that liberation more than you desire to be right. And then you have to watch for the part of yourself that negotiates to be right. And I myself, I'm in something like that right now, where I've had triggers, I've had conflict, and I'm aware that it is giving me something, and I'm meeting it from that place. And from a distance, I'm also watching my ego that has the stories of it's not fair, and this is why I'm right. And it kind of spins itself into like all of these different reasons why its way is the best way and the right way. And for me, this is a long time work that is coming into fulfillment, where I'm able to see patterns that I've carried from childhood between interactions with my parents, and the way that it has affected my confidence, the way it has affected how I speak, and the way that I meet conflict myself, and judgment. So this requires you to consciously want to go beyond the part of yourself that you are defending. And there is a difference between protecting, truly protecting, and then defending your ego. And if you don't know what those are, then you begin to ask that question. Show me what the difference is in true protection, boundaries, healthy boundaries, and then defense, where there's a judgment that one person's right and the other person's wrong. And that's one way you can identify it, also by being a victim. If you feel that you were victimized by something, somewhere inside of you, you are not owning that you have co-created this relationship. You have attracted this to you because it already lives in you, and you ask for it to come to you so that you can let it go, so that you can heal it. So this comes to the intention card, the Rainmaker. This is, we create what we are. We manifest according to our thoughts and our feelings. The Rainmaker is the master of manifestation who can call on the elements of nature to serve the greater good. When the power to co-create is used with integrity, great beauty, and benefit flow to all. When this power is used for personal gain only, everyone suffers. When the earth is parched, the Rainmaker calls the waters from the heavens, and all that is dormant in the fields and in people's hearts springs to life again. The Rainmaker is calling you to create something new from the elements that are already in your life. Be sure you work with what is and not with what might be or could have been. Recognize how you are co-creating your world. Nothing is happening out there without your involvement. Remember that the world is only mirroring back to you the condition of your love and your intent. Let me say that again. Remember that the world is only mirroring back to you the condition of your love and your intent. So change these within before you take any action. Do not take life personally. So this is where I often see people get tripped up and confused, and it triggers the ego that gets defensive. Well, I didn't do anything wrong. It couldn't be me. It's out there. It's them. Well, that is your work then, is to see that you don't see. Is to see that even taking into consideration that you are responsible, you have a judgment about what you've created. And your judgment is keeping you bound into the right or wrong and into that dance of condemnation of self, which is why you are seeing it in the world. And if you have really strong biases and opinions about things that are happening collectively, I encourage you to narrow down what your judgments are, like a core belief about what it is that you are judging. And then I want you to begin to track the different ways every day that you are doing that to yourself or to maybe the world within your local, like your local area. So that the people, the places that you venture regularly. And you start to, just by seeking to find it, it will begin to erupt. It will begin to show itself more polarized to you. So that through that polarization, you can identify where that structure is in your own emotion mind field. Once you can identify that, then you can begin to track that. Well, where did this first come in? Where did I first receive either this imprint about myself or the world or other people? When was the first time I had an experience? Or when did somebody tell me this? And you can track this. There are multiple practices that you can employ to begin to track this. But energy follows thought. So the first step is just setting the intention. Your intention is powerful. And your intention for liberation and for clarity and for wisdom and healing has to be stronger than your will to be right. And that, my friends, is a very sticky, difficult place for most of us to even admit. And this is where this is where resentment starts to build. This is why there's a binding and unwillingness to forgive. It's because there's such a strong hold on being right, because what it would mean for the ego if you weren't right would be devastating. It would mean that you may have to face really confronting, intense emotions and thoughts. But you have to be willing to go into that darkness, because out of the darkness the light is born. What you are perceiving as the enemy is not truly the enemy. It's not what you think. And it's only by going into it and being willing to surrender, not give up, but to surrender, that you are able to be transformed so that you may see the world clearly and not as you are. Because through the lens of the ego, you will qualify everything according to the way that you are qualified, to the way that you see yourself. If you believe that you are not worthy of love, you will not be able to see the value of other people and the love that can be created in those relationships, or the love that's being offered. Our other card is you're not alone. Ancient ancestors stand beside you. So for many of you, as we're doing this tracking process of finding where we have received imprints, we receive a lot of imprints from our family and our caregivers and our environment. Many of these have gone on for many generations. So if it's something that feels like such an integral part of yourself that has been passed on and on and on, this can be where that ancestral work can be done. I'm given this image of creating an altar, of creating a space where you can honor and connect with your ancestors, where you can offer forgiveness for your ancestors. This requires intention, and that intention be to unite with love, to be liberated more than your desire to be right. Let's hear what this card has to offer us. Keepers of the earth. You are so supported. You do not stand alone. You have a magnificent team of helpers, both in this world and of the earth, who are here to help your every step of the way. Call upon them for assistance. They are here to help. The keepers of the earth acknowledge the work that you have done already and are ready to work through you. They bow at your feet and thank you for wanting to stand for them, to devote your life to protecting the earth in your unique way. It is time to increase your capacity to receive support in the physical realm. This can come in the form of financial abundance, acts of service from strangers, or people flocking to help you in your work. The only thing that is stopping you right now is your capacity to receive support. You deserve to be rewarded for the work that you are doing. You do not need to go at it alone. Call upon the keepers of the earth to help you in your mission. Open your heart and your mind to receiving more than you ever thought possible. What kind of support do you need? Call it in right away. I cannot stress enough how much this has changed my life in going beyond this idea that I have to do it all, or that I have to work really hard to be of value or to receive. And that doesn't negate the fact that we have to take action and we have to do things, but there is like an improportionate like complex around working hard in order to be happy, and those two do actually not, they don't equate to each other. There's a distortion in that understanding. And when I began to really come from my heart asking God, asking for the angels, asking for my higher guidance to be with me, ascended masters, I've tried different methods of working with the living light and the emanations, the ambassadors and the emissaries of the living light of God and of Christ. And it's totally transformed my life and made me aware of just how active and present these beings are with us, and yet honor the free will that we have, and therefore will not interfere without you asking. And so it becomes a part of your remembrance of who you are and what you are, in being able to recall in the moments where you feel unsure, you feel misaligned, you feel like you need support, and going, oh yeah, there's something more beyond what I can see or sense with my six senses. And this is the way. This is the way. The more that you do that, the more that you will experience these synchronicities and magical moments where you feel it's just you and the universe. It's just you and God, because it is. And it's always been that. Let's pull one more card. What card shall it be? So we pulled the indecision card. And this says, I use my intuition in all aspects of my life. So this feels like an extension of what I was just saying. When you meet those places where you are unsure, where you feel like you don't have the resources, you use that sixth sense of intuition. And if you are one of those people, you're like, okay, I've tried speaking with my guides or my angels, I don't hear anything. Well, then you probably need to take that first step of singing and dancing to get your spirit in your body connected with your emotions and your mind. You probably need to go through some process. You've separated somewhere. If you're not able to hear or receive, because sometimes it comes through sight, sometimes it comes through your hearing, sometimes it comes through a feeling in your body, and encounters that you experience. But you won't be able to make the accurate intuitive assessment if your intuition is not on. And the only way it's on is by aligning mind, body, and spirit, or what we might say is mind, heart, body, and spirit. You have to be tapped into your emotions, and your mind has to read your emotions properly for you to be able to understand the importance of what's being delivered through that vibrational indicator, which is the emotions, energy, emotion. And the body is the receptor for that. So that first thing that you do, if you're not able to hear, if you feel like you're disconnected, you're not actually disconnected, you are imbalanced. So you bring balance back in by doing something joyful, something that opens the heart. The heart is the great harmonizer. If you can get the heart open, if you can laugh, like truly deep belly laugh, if you can play, if you can stomp on the bare earth or be outside and have some of those moments of just peace, then you may begin to open yourself because you are in alignment, and you'll be able to receive more clear, more restorative messages through your intuitive senses. So just to summarize this whole reading, we started with this great card of out of the darkness, the light is born. A lot of the things that you have been working on, possibly the last 11 years, definitely here in the culmination of this year, it's starting to come into fruition. It's time to take action. It's time to be practical about what you have learned and to turn knowledge into wisdom. You can sustain these higher frequencies by singing and dancing, bringing music in, moving the body. Just a little plug, we do have an incredible sound healing workshop with a lot of woo-woo in it coming up at the end of the month. You've got to check it out. It's going to be just a one-of-a-kind experience, incredible healing opportunity. And then to empathize, to really start to look at where you close yourself off and where you've created your own personifications to mimic safety, to inhibit yourself from being seen, to prevent yourself from feeling vulnerable, and to empathize with where you have outwardly judged so that you can empathize with yourself and where you're judging yourself. And then we raise into the higher consciousness of being able to ask for the support that we need from the higher realms of creation, from the higher realms of light, of love, and to center in on our intention and to know that whatever it is that we are focusing on, we will draw to us. If you're focusing on what you don't want, you will get more of what you don't want. If you will focus in affirming ways on what you do want, you will likely start to draw what you do want. But you have to have that axis of mind, heart, body, spirit in alignment. Your intention to be liberated, to become love incarnate, must be greater than your will to be right. And I invite you to remember that when you feel yourself triggered, when you feel yourself in a confronting situation, when there's some level of intensity that you're experiencing in your life, then you need to ask yourself, okay, what can this show me? How am I judging? How am I closing my heart? Why am I closing my heart? And am I closing my heart because I would rather be right than be kind, than be empathetic, than be understanding? It's a practice. It is a practice. But your genuine desire, your genuine longing for that liberation, for that love to be a light in this world has to begin with your willingness to be a light in your darkness, to go into your darkness, and to let your darkness be seen by others. That's where it's really hard, is admitting and taking ownership for what you have drawn into your life and co-created. Nothing has ever happened to you by chance. It is all by a design in order for you to see what you have not been willing to see and accept and love yet. So, with deep reverence, love, and respect, thank you to all of the angels and those that were a part of offering this transmission for this full moon in Capricorn, giving great thanks. And I ask that you hit that like button if you like this, and if you feel like this is supportive for anyone else, please share it. And in the meantime, I will look forward to seeing you again in the next cycle with the new moon. So keep it pure and stay simple. Pura vida.